Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Us Anything for. Should I try to keep it timeless? Should I say for this month, and then you can guess which month it is, even though they're not
Well, I
necessarily
think Sean's a little
month-wise?
festive
I
wear
think I'm blowing that.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before the hang-up began, I asked Dave if he wanted to go first, making fun of Sean, or if I should do it. Um, so there you go. If you're not on video, you're missing out. So special announcement. Special announcement about a forthcoming special announcement at some point, because we're that
Wow,
organized.
that's big.
At some point, basically when I get my shit together, we're going to announce.
Ready
And
to get ready.
This is going to matter absolutely dick to anybody who's listening on the audio feed. 2 months from now, going to draw when we did the Story Shop Kickstarter. There was a level where we were going to take a drawing for who got a story and outline consultation with the whole team. That's the three of us plus Garrett. And so I'm going to draw it live from literally from a hat. But I need to get that together. And once I have that together, then I will be able to draw it. So there you go. So
that's pretty exciting.
Cool stuff.
I got a last minute Slack from Amy that said, "Hey, don't forget you're supposed to have."
What?
Wait, the suspense is killing me.
Somebody censoring Sean? We can't hear you, Sean.
I want to know what he was supposed to have.
Sean's mic went off.
I can't take it.
Oh, Sean. This is his way of not doing this, by the way.
I know.
Cannot hear you, Sean.
Well, that was fun. So do you want to go then, since we don't know the answer to that?
Okay.
This is the podcast where you can ask us anything. I want to ask Sean what the fuck's going on.
Okay, YouTube no longer allows live comments in the video. So right now everybody is on the Sterling and Stone Facebook page where there's an Ask Us Anything picture. If you click on that and leave a comment in there, that's where we're getting the questions from. If you have one and you're watching live and you want to leave it, if you're listening to this, obviously you can't go back in time and leave a question.
Okay, so actually, can I weigh in on that? Because right before the show, my family left a little after 6:30 Eastern. It's about 8 o'clock Eastern now.
Okay.
And so I said, well, what can I watch that's just under an hour and a half? And I decided I wanted to watch Primer again because I've been thinking too linearly, and so the answer to that is if you go back and you start a box running, that's how you can handle it. So
okay. We can barely hear you.
It's the best show ever. I'm getting really excited about this show tonight.
It's maybe your gain on your microphone on that little switch.
Welcome to the Tech Support Podcast.
Cannot hear you. Wow.
All right, better ask a question.
Turn it off and turn it on again. Yeah.
People tuning out as we speak.
I don't mind if they tune out. Then we could just end early.
Go home. All
right. Okay. Yeah. Questions. Can't hear you, Sean. All right. Rachel Sabay Lipford says, the hardest part of self-publishing for me is the external details. I have a really hard time coming up with titles. How do you guys do that? Is there a process you follow, or do you come up with them as you write?
I just let Sean do it. That's actually a serious answer. What do you guys do? Because I'm guessing you're coming up with a lot of those titles, Dave.
We kind of bounce ideas back and forth and ask what seems cool. Sean actually came up with Yesterday's Gone as a title. I didn't like it as a title for a long time.
I remember the story of that. He said he had to sell you on it.
Yeah, I don't remember the story. I just know that I didn't like it. I forgot what I wanted to call it. Probably something a little more on the nose. But you know how Sean is about things dealing with the nose.
Dead children.
Yes, dead children and aliens. And everybody go bye-bye, I think was the title.
No, I'm actually looking across at my bookshelf now and just trying to think of what other books we have, and I don't think I've come up with a single title at all. I think that I know that the Dream Engine we batted that back and forth because that was Fiction Unboxed, and we were trying to, we wanted to sound a little steampunky. And so we just kind of were like, well, so engines or whatever. And I think my wife said it needed to be something about dreams. and we came up with a dream engine. But that's like Fat Vampire I came up with, but barely because that story was right. It's not like it's a great, it's what's this about? Well, it's about a fat vampire. Unicorn Western was much the same. I'm not good with character names either, and so I just kind of wing it, and I let Sean correct them if necessary. I don't know. I don't think I'd worry about that. I think I'd just write the story and then adjust later if you need to.
Yeah. I for Available Darkness, that was one I've had forever, and I just like the idea of running out of darkness. And that whole idea, and I looked. I think there was a URL for Available Darkness that had to do with photography, so there might be some photography reference there too. I don't know. I'm not that much into photography.
This is really hard without Sean. All right. Well, because
that'll be a
continue.
quick show.
Yeah, it really will. All right. Let's just run through it. All right. Keep going. What do you got? What else you got?
All right.
How about now?
Yay! We hear you. Now I don't have to talk to Johnny anymore.
I know. It's really uncomfortable, like when you were talking to Tucker Max earlier.
Don't even get me started on that.
That was great.
That was so awesome. Yeah, I'm in the corner now. I'm on a different mic, and this is super, super uncomfortable. But
nobody puts
whatever.
John in the corner.
So, yeah. If I'm a little bit farther away like this, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, great. Awesome.
The Tucker and Dave podcast would last approximately 1 hour before I wanted to hurt him.
But it would be the best show ever. Like, it just would be. It would be awesome.
Yeah, so real quickly, because nobody cares if we stay on topic or anything, what we're talking about is we just recorded something earlier with Tucker Max, and Dave and Tucker were on before Sean and I, and they were having a culinary discussion, debating the finer points of haute cuisine. And I said, we actually like the idea of a Tucker and Dave talk about food show. But
Tucker was very enthusiastic.
Right. The ongoing debate was how long it would last before one of you killed the other. And Tucker said, "Oh no, it'd be great. We just go in and I'd get really excited about what great thing I'm going to mention. He's going to shit all over, or what stupid food he's going to come up with." And I said, "I like that your enthusiasm doesn't negate the fact that I still wonder which one of you is going to kill the other."
Well, I probably would kill him first, unless he is really good at fighting or something, which may be possible. I mean, I imagine he's gotten into many fights in his lifetime. Right. He pissed me off though when you guys brought up the sleep apnea thing, and then he said, the way not to have sleep apnea is not to be a fat ass, and I was like, no, you don't get to call me fat.
You do realize that that's just. Like, he said 1,000 other offensive things, and that's
the one I picked up.
That's the one that offended you.
Right.
I'm a very picky person like that.
Right, I knew too. I'm like, okay, well, great, because I thought like everything was going swimmingly up until then.
You know what? You know what it is. It's that's. Tucker is the kind of, or was the kind of, he's different now, Sean says, but he was the kind of guy that picked on me in high school, and I still have, thoughts about that, and I don't take that shit from people that like that anymore. So
yeah, but the thing is, he wasn't picking on you at all.
I know he wasn't.
It
was just my thing.
It was like buddies fucking with each other. Like that's how it was.
Considering that we've answered one question and kind of halfway. And I've had the time to finish the entire drawing. Well,
that's more questions than I answered.
Nobody's tuning in to hear answers.
Why don't I just draw at this point? Okay, so this is because I got it ready. Okay, here we go. I'm not looking. I'm reaching into here. This is the hat. And it's got bunch of numbers in it. And okay, here's the winner. It is number 263. That is your Kickstarter number, and that is 263. I don't know if I should give a full name. If only it were MG on, because then he wouldn't care. John. Well, I don't actually have a last name, so but you're 263, and Amy.
Well, how the hell is he supposed to? Oh, we get.
Well, because you can
email him, dude.
Okay.
We'll email him, right? Exactly, we'll email him. But congratulations, John. So there you go.
I really miss not having comments.
I wonder if this is the John that we know. Okay, well, whatever. So let's move on then. Let's ask us anything.
Okay. Tom J. Donahue says, "My fiance and I are both self-publishing aspirants. Our plan is to write as much as we can."
Sorry, it's John Farrago.
Is it
Congratulations,
really?
John. Yeah, that's 2-1.
Oh, that's awesome! Congratulations, John. Oh, I'm talking into the wrong mic. That's awesome.
All right, so
Congratulations, John.
go ahead, Dave. Congratulations, John.
Our plan is to raise as much as we can in 2016 and wait to publish till the end of 2016 or early 2017. Our thinking was that we will be able to more easily gather readers if we already have a bank of stories and a few completed trilogy series that we're publishing on a consistent schedule. Is that a sound strategy, or do you think we'd be, quote, leaving money on the table by waiting that long to publish?
I think that's wonderful. I think more authors should do that. I think that that's great. You're going to come out with a body of work. You're going to understand your work better. You're going to be able to market it better. I think that's great. It's hard to exhibit that kind of patience, so major kudos to you.
All right. Kevin Lute says, what can you tell us about the conference you're hosting in the spring? Dates and costs would be helpful for planning. I'm a teacher, so I need as much lead time as possible. Thanks.
Ooh, I don't know. Do we have the page up, Johnny? I know we're close. We're so close, but probably not.
I've been dealing with Kickstarter stuff. What was the thing you just asked me, Sean?
Oh, never mind. do we have a page for the summit?
The summit. Yeah, I actually asked about that earlier. I don't think it's ready yet. But we do have, that is going to be going real soon, the Smarter Artist Summit. We can announce some stuff. It's the last 2 days of March, the 30th and 31st of 2017 in Austin, Texas.
2016.
2016, sorry,
Wow.
Coming up 3 months from now, basically, in Austin, Texas. And but we don't have a page to sign up yet, I don't think. But we will very soon, and we'll probably blast it out to the list once before the.
Yeah, we'll have a page really soon. It is going to be the last 2 days. We've got great speakers. I don't know. Can we announce the for sure speakers, Johnny? Okay. So we have Julia Kent, Julie Huss. Excuse me. This is really cool. We have Andre Chaperon is talking, and this is kind of a big deal because he doesn't talk. I mean, he does. He's not mute.
He's going to sign language in the entire presentation.
But
bring an interpreter.
But I asked him if he would speak at our event, like, I don't know, 6 months ago, and he said, "I'm just such a painful introvert. I'm really shy." And
I'll help him.
That's why he did the that's why he got so great at email marketing, because it was a place where he could kind of put some personality, but he didn't have to actually speak. And he said he's done 2 speaking gigs before, and they both just made him violently ill, and he had major problems with them. But I asked again, and he wants to do it. Like, he believes in what we're doing, and authors really do need help with email marketing, probably more than anything. So Andre Chaperon, who I consider the best email marketer in the world, will be talking, and I think that's fantastic. We also have Joanna Penn. And we have a couple other really great guests that we're working on right now.
We can Nick, right? We can announce him.
Oh yeah, and Nick Stevenson. So it's a great lineup, and we've got just really good people. And of course
we're just squirrely about announcing them before we get some final details ironed out. But yeah, they're lined
only
up.
Blackmailed them.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll it's very conversational. The space that we picked is very awesome. It's two-sided. One side of the room is basically an artist loft, an artist workspace, like shared workspace. And when you walk in, you immediately feel the creativity. Like, there's always a lot of people there just working. And then the other side is an event side, and we have room for 200 people in there, and we're gonna have a stage with basically like sitting furniture, and there'll be more like great conversations rather than
but not. I mean, it won't be like we're just gonna sit up there and bullshit. Like, they're pointed. There's it's speaking.
There will be plenty
of
takeaway.
Can I get a curtain around
stiff.
my chair so I can just kind of peek out when I want to, and then otherwise be invisible?
Well, I guess you could.
I'm gonna get you one of those magician's boxes.
A peep show booth.
But we have there will be great takeaways, but the point I'm trying to make is that there's not going to be like the lone speaker pacing with a mic and a
Where you
PowerPoint.
fall asleep.
Yeah, it's not like that at all. Like it's
Steve Jobs thing.
It's warmer, you know.
We're not gonna do a TED Talk.
But I did see Steve Jobs the movie yesterday. We could talk about that tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, next question.
All right. Chris Garrett says, I'm a new listener, and my Dog Catcher podcast is missing a lot of episodes. So some of these you may have covered before. 2, what tips do you have for finding a writing group that works together and doesn't fizzle out? 3, how do you find your alpha beta readers?
The first one glitched out for me, and that means for the feed. What was number 1 again?
What is a beat in a story?
Oh, a beat in a story is just something that happens, really. Like, it's that simple. A chapter could have like 6 different things that happen. A guy goes to get his coffee.
It's a plot outline.
He stands in line. He gets in a fight with someone in line. Each one of those things. The guy going to the
writing
store.
About Carl?
Yes.
The Ultimate Warrior dies.
The guy going to a store is a beat. Getting a fight with someone in line is a beat. They're just the things that happen. And, you can fill a few hundred words per beat, basically. Okay.
Tips for finding a writing group that works together and doesn't fizzle out.
Yeah, that's hard. We've actually been asked specifically about collaborators, which is slightly different from finding a writing group many times, and the answer is always some species of it's like dating, and it's like finding the perfect marriage partner, honestly. We joke about these being like marriages, but you just kind of have to try it and see. Now, as far as writing groups, I've never been part of one, so I'm afraid I really don't have much to say on that.
Yeah,
I think online groups, it's a little different today. It's a little easier. You can find it in social media.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I think the harder part of that question is that doesn't fizzle out. Because I think it's easy to start just about anything. It's easy to start a writing group or join a writing group. But I think that kind of commitment on both ends, the person who's joining and the community that's already there, I think really as far as your job, just stay interesting, give people a reason to come back, make sure that you're giving more than you're taking. And if everybody kind of approaches it with that mindset, then you'll have a better group.
How do you find alpha beta readers?
I don't know either, honestly, because we work sort of as each other's.
A lot of people use their mailing list. Like when they hear, I know a lot of romance readers do this. Like they hear from people rather constantly, like really super fans, and a lot of times they'll get them on board to be beta readers. And a lot of times, especially in the romance genre, I think that fans really they're voracious readers and they love the process.
It depends on
it might be a little more difficult.
Yeah, it depends on the size of your list, because you definitely don't want to. It's hard. You don't want to cannibalize your list, right? If you have a really small list and you ask people, you send out a general, email, hey, anybody want to read the book for free? That could hurt. But if you are in a writing group, that's a great place to get beta readers. But the alpha, like for us, we two things. We are each other's alpha readers, and for beta readers, we typically don't use them because we're going a little too fast for that. Beta readers, you have to wait for them to come back, and we usually get to market just a little bit faster than that.
All right. Next question, Anna Labruyere. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not sure if I can make the Q&A Thursday, and you said we could ask anything, so here goes. You guys have such active and eclectic imaginations. And in the beginning of Invasion, there were a few mentions of ayahuasca.
Where's ayahuasca Joe in this?
That's the secret. And so without incrimination, how did your imaginations get so developed? Is it your wild and crazy guyness? Or are you just so open-minded and uninhibited? White Space got me hooked on you all, and the treats just keep coming and are so refreshing from other authors in these genres that turn out the same different character pieces all the time.
I actually have a story that it's totally fictional, so can't incriminate anybody. But let's just say there was a writer who's might have been talking to his father and said, maybe I should try smoking weed sometime, and the father hypothetically would, said, yeah, I think that's for me that would lower my inhibitions, but you don't seem to have a problem with that. So officially, that writer in that story would be crazy enough without weed, but others may prefer stimulation.
I'm not going to incriminate anyone, but I happen to know some people. Like, I'll say this about ayahuasca. All right, it's not.
Hey, man.
It's not an inexpensive experience. You either have to go to Peru.
How much did it cost you?
I have never paid for ayahuasca.
Oh, that's a good, safe answer.
So you can go to Peru, and it's, I think, a lot cheaper there, and you hire a shaman. If you hire a shaman in the U.S., it's illegal, all right? And you have to be isolated and rich. I happen to know a few people who are isolated and rich, and so I have heard some glorious accounts of ayahuasca, and that is all I have to say about that.
My creativity is unenhanced. Dave's is enhanced by misery, I believe.
Yeah, my creativity comes solely from not having any friends and being bullied in school and being miserable and depressed, and I decided to go into other worlds that are not real, and that's all where my creativity comes from pain.
There you go.
But the good side is I always dreamed of, when people would actually be reading my stuff, so it worked out well. Bill Weiss. Okay, this might seem rather fundamental, but exactly how do you decide which genre fits your fiction? For example, I have 2 books in revision, both using time travel as a mechanism within each book. One of the books themselves, a present-day story and its future prequel, are set respectively in an urban environment and the other in survival mode post-apocalyptic setting. The protagonist and other main characters are largely in their early 20s, with a few in their 30s or 40s. And its focus is to prevent a global takeover by a corporate collective. I've read that book. No, just kidding. Does this fit with time travel, action, dystopian, YA? What would be the primary genre? I know I can use all of them in keywords, but what genre do I call it?
All right, I actually have an example that I think is a good one for this genre question. So originally when we wrote Unicorn Western, that's clearly a Western, or it's fantasy, because it's got a unicorn and it's got Western. And I'm trying to remember, was it just on Amazon, or you can pick one category? There was somewhere where you could have one category as primary and then the other as secondary. And we ended up deciding, it's basically a case of, do you want this with that, or do you want that with this? You get both. And in the case of Unicorn Western, if it's primarily a Western with a unicorn added, that doesn't jibe that well because of the reader who primarily looks for a Western. What most Western readers are going to be like, what the fuck did you do to my a Western with a unicorn?
Yeah, what are the rules of the genre?
Well, whereas fantasy readers, if it's fantasy first and Western second, then because of the readership, the readers of fantasy aren't necessarily going to object to a gunslinger being added to their fantasy. So I would look at the readership first. So you mentioned that these people are younger, and you said if it would be YA. Well, don't ask, can it be classified as YA because there are younger people in it? Ask whether the kinds of people who read YA books would like your book. What is the primary reader? And then go to genre from there. So for the one that has time travel and post-apocalyptic, my guess would be that that's a post-apocalyptic reader first and a time travel reader second.
Yeah, and what's selling well at the moment can also come into play.
Yeah, you want to. I would suggest just going to where the largest pool is. But having said that, you need to really make sure that you satisfy that audience. If you're putting that primarily, then they need to be the primary audience that you satisfy. And it can touch upon all those other things, and should, if that's where your story takes you. But make sure that you're satisfying the core audience that you're trying to reach.
Okay. All right, Mark's Pile says, first, you guys should check out Ash vs. Evil Dead. In one episode, they pull out ayahuasca for a vision quest.
I love that that's become a thing.
I couldn't help but think of you guys when they said the name. Second, I'm curious about the growth in novellas within the authors, especially for series, like with the new Tor novellas and Joanna Penn's newest book, Risen Gods, and of course the various series you've done with Yesterday's Gone and others. What do you think a word count or page count minimum for a book should be, or be a little more specific, since you'll say it depends on the story? What seems to work out page count wise for $2.99 or other price tiers for Kindle books? Or do you think indies should focus more on longer books, like skipping ahead to combine season sets? I'm asking for fiction, if that matters.
Man, I really think it does depend on the story, for sure. But having said that, I think that it makes sense why indies are writing shorter stuff. People read fast, and it's so hard to maintain that attention. So if you've grabbed a reader, you really want to hold on to that reader as best you can, and it's not always easy to do that if you don't have another book for 6 months. So a novella is kind of a way around that. We're doing the same thing right now at CI. We're writing 3 books in a series it's not serialized. They're not episodes. They are full books. They are full stories that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and can be self-contained. But they're shorter, and they are novellas. They're not the novel length is 40,000 words. That's a short book. These are slightly shorter than that. So they are novellas. Crash is a novella. And
Crash is actually a novel. It's just over 40,000 words, I think.
It's not.
And the experience was a book. I read it, and because I have kind of an oblique answer to this. I think it's about reader expectations, and a lot of people don't know what the hell a novella is. And a lot of people object to short stories, even if they're long short stories, just kind of on principle, like I don't read short stories. So we've actually been defaulting a lot. Well, when I say we, I mean Sean and I, to longer books, in part because, when I say longer books, I'm talking novel length. I kind of don't want to refer to something as a novella, and I also don't want to lie. So it's sort of been like,
right,
Yeah.
But I think the experience of Crash was a book for me. And I think that was the point I was trying to make. Is it's about reader experience, and if you paid, I would think what's Crash's priced at?
$3.99 or $4.99.
Okay, $3.99.
Yeah, because I was going to say $3.99 feels like the right price to me. Yeah, I don't think it's about page count. It's about experience.
Now, right now the stories we're doing, the body jumping one's like 35,000. The other is like 25 to 26,000. So it's kind of it's on the shorter side. But to me, they feel like a real story. But it will be difficult when we have to market them. Do we market them as novellas because we don't want to mislead people?
I would just call them a book. Like, is it really that? Because a book is kind of an agnostic term.
Well, you can call it a book and let the pricing do the job, right? If it's $2.99, I don't think you could be that mad that it only took you several hours to read instead of 2 days or whatever. So I think that it just depends. I think novella is, I don't know. Some people might be just turned off by the word novella because it's like it's not a real story, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think pricing is more important than the language here, and I think that if your story is, and these are very loose guidelines, but under 30,000 words, it really should be $2.99. If it's under 50,000 words, $3.99 is good, and then after that, just kind of use your judgment.
And look at pricing in your genre too.
Yes.
And you could also give like a word count in the description. That way nobody feels ripped off or whatever somewhere in there. Also, I think a lot of indies were jumping on it, I think, because of the whole Kindle Unlimited. But now the Kindle Unlimited is by number of pages read rather than books bought. That might change a little bit. Emma Allison says, I've seen lots of authors, especially in my genre, PNR romance, run giveaways with awesome swag. I just ran one myself with a few prizes related to my new release. How much is too much? Is it a good loyalty building trick, or does it set a really bad precedent? I don't want to have to bribe readers, though I don't mind having fun with my list. 2, occasionally I get really mean emails from new subscribers that they didn't get their free book link. They're lazy and didn't check the spam or actually following. I'm not Best Buy.
I'll let Dave speak to that one.
I'm not Best Buy. Do I have to help these people? Well, I know I don't have to. Or can I just delete and move on? I don't care about rude people. And I'm a person, not a corporation. Why did they talk to me like I'm a scam artist trying to sleaze them out of an email? Dude.
Is this she the author?
You can, if you're using like Aweber, there's a page you can set that after they've submitted the form, they go to this page, and then there's another page you can set where after they've clicked the subscribe link, the confirmation link in an opt-in email, they go to that page. And it's real easy to skip those 2 pages, but I like to use those for expectation setting. So after you click the one to subscribe, then it says, just one more step, go to your email, look for the link, blah, 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 it lets them know what to expect. And then the one after they click the confirmation link in the email, it can optionally take them to a web page as well to say you're confirmed or whatever. And if you control that page, if you set a custom page and you say something like, okay, you're signed up, go to your email and look for go to your inbox and look for an email from me with the subject line. Sometimes it takes a minute to arrive. Check your spam. Like, you can do those sorts of things to just let them know. I'd have to ask Amy if we get a lot of people bitching about ours, but I don't remember when I was getting those emails. So I think people, because of those pages, they're like, oh, well, okay, I'll go check.
Now, I will say we've gotten a ton of email from people that, hey, why doesn't this work? It's not calling by name, just very short. And I tend to think of those people as assholes. However, it's not always the case. Sometimes people are just frustrated, or they're writing on their actual Kindle device and sending a very short, terse email. But I'll help them out, and I'll help them figure out whatever it is they've not gotten quite figured out, and sometimes they'll email me back, and it'll be a more friendly, longer email, and then, I think I give people the benefit of the doubt the first time anyway, at least. One thing you can do to sort of lessen the people that are emailing you is, at the end of every email you have, if you're often like giving away an ebook, have a page on your website that explains how to sideload it to various devices. We have that on ours. Put that at the.
That does help, yeah.
Yeah.
Put that at the footer of each of your emails that you send out. Hey, this, and you could also, if you have like a frequently asked questions, and you're getting a lot of the same questions in your email, like when's this book coming out or whatever, and it just put that. I'll also do a website for that. Put FAQ. Put a link to that, and you can kind of answer those at the very bottom of your email and kind of weed that out. Although some people, they just don't fucking read. We get a lot of email from people, like they download our book. Like, we send 2 books out in one email, and they'll download them, and they'll say, where's the second one? I'm like, yo, it was in the email that I just replied to in the body of that very email. If you just go back and look. But I try not to be a jerk about it.
Do you remember that one that you forwarded on to us, Dave, where it said something like hit reply, and so they typed out the word reply and replied? It was something like that. It was something like a fundamental misunderstanding of what email did.
Yeah, we're in the business of customer service. We don't have to take abuse, but we should give people the benefit of the doubt and treat them how we'd want to be treated if we were confused about something. And you got to figure, some people that are readers, they might skew older and not be as tech savvy as we are, and you just want to be helpful. Like, if your mom or your dad, like if they're older, like emailed an author about something and the author was a dick, you'd say, well, you'd feel bad. You'd feel bad for your mom or dad. So just kind of treat people like you'd want to be treated. And then if they're a dick the second time, well, all bets are off. Do whatever you want. but be careful doing whatever you want, because sometimes that'll bite.
It can blow back.
What's the? Oh, go ahead.
Well, we've seen that. You've seen it. Like, the author meltdowns are not pretty. Yeah, there was To the Author, and there was also, remember that guy on Goodreads?
Yes, and I also like it when you hear a story about somebody, tracking somebody to where they live to punch them out because they gave them a bad review.
Well, one guy stabbed a girl.
Well, he just took it to another level.
Or hit her in the head with a bottle of wine. Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like attempted murder sort of stuff right there.
Yeah, bad reviews do not bother me that much.
What was the other half of that question? The first half.
Does she actually have to help these people or move on? That was the whole gist of the
Well,
question.
it depends. Like, it depends on whether you.
Yeah, you're right. The loyalty building stuff. Like, how much is too much to give away?
Oh, yeah, I think that's. I mean, it depends on what the point is, and I think it depends on the genre. We have a bunch of good friends now
She's
who
in
are
romance.
romance authors, right? And that's just a thing. Like, we've done a few of them recently, but that's much less a thing in like sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, fantasy, whatever we do. Then romance just expects that. That's just what they do. And it depends on what you're trying to do, because a giveaway, like a Rafflecopter giveaway, can be used for your own nefarious aims. We actually just copied this and did one for Invasion. So we had a BookBub for Invasion, and so it was at 99 cents anyway, and so we sent out a giveaway to our list saying, you can win a $50 Amazon gift card or something. And the way that they were entering the Rafflecopter was by sharing Facebook posts about Invasion. Now, I don't know how much that moved the needle for us, but romance readers are on Facebook, and so sharing your post about your book on Facebook is actually advertising. And so I would just say whether you're getting the return out or not, I don't think I'd think of it in terms of loyalty building. You can certainly do that, but I would not consider that like an obligation that you have to keep doing that just for reader satisfaction. Like, you write the books, they read the books. That should mostly be enough, I would think.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you do it too. I think Jana, what's her last name, Johnny?
Aston.
Jana Aston is a good example of somebody I recently saw do a giveaway that I thought was clever and great and just really in tune with her audience. And that was, she gave away socks, and they were like,
they were classy bitch socks.
Classy bitch socks, right, which was something that happened in the book. The character goes to the gynecologist and is totally naked except for her socks, which say classy bitch.
Been there, done that.
And so giving away classy
There's
bitch
a classy
socks
bitch.
is like, that's cute. Giving away a Target gift card, not so much, right? Like, you're not in alignment with your audience. I think that the more
I'd like a Target gift card.
I know you would. I think the more you're in alignment with your audience, the better that prize is going to be, and the more it's going to serve you.
But you can do list build giveaways too, and that's a totally different animal. Because I think you guys did that, right? Like, you do a giveaway to attempt to build your list, because if people join the list, they're entered into a raffle for the giveaway, and then you get the free seekers. You get this person who wants to win the free Kindle Fire or the gift card, not necessarily your readers. But if you're sending a giveaway to your readers, and your readers who you already know like you are doing something to spread the word about you, that's different.
Oh, and I'd also, another point on giveaways that I think is a big deal. Be aware of international shipping. Right? If your international shipping is balls, like, it just is. So if you can give away prizes where you don't have to send them, like, okay, so an autograph hardcover or an autograph softcover of your book, that means you have to have it shipped to you, sign it, and then ship it out. So you're paying for shipping twice there, and if it's international, you're going to end up spending like $50 on that gift, and they're not going to appreciate it in the same way they would a $50 Target gift card. So if you can do non-autographed, then you can ship those straight from CreateSpace, or if you're giving away something that you can ship straight from the vendor, that's a good idea. But just, it's one of those things. Know why you're doing what you're doing.
Something digital, like a gift card.
Yeah, because if you are sending a signed book for a reason, that's great, but if you're just sending a signed book because, they'll like signed better than regular, it will affect your bottom line. It will affect your ROI on that contest for sure.
I'm going to send out my dirty socks and put stinky bitch on it.
That's a good idea.
Lori Wostel says, I have 2.5 or 3 books of 3 books written, and now need to get down to the nitty-gritty of finding an editor and, of course, book covers. Threw that in case you need a seg. Also want to know specific online forums that you recommend for writers. I'm doing romance, although now someone said it is women's lit, and someone else said erotic romance. Anything will help. Do we know any forum? We don't go to any forums.
No, I don't.
Yeah, we don't go to forums.
No, forums for me, I've tried them a bunch of times,
sociable.
but they're a time suck for me. they're a time suck for me. I used to
Yeah.
waste a lot of time on forums, and I say that affectionately because I didn't have anything else to do, and I was kind of in a financial piece of shit at that point. And so going and just spending all my day like talking to these people on forums it felt right at the time. But now it's what used to be great about forums is just like I just don't have time for that, and I can't keep up. I mean, I keep up with some private, like our mastermind has forums, but that's about it.
Yeah, there are. I don't know. Part of the problem for me with a lot of writers forums is I feel like, at least I'm sure they're not all like this, and I don't mean to generalize, but I've seen a lot of negativity in writers forums too, and like I don't need that. I've seen some ugly stuff on the Kindle boards, for example, and it's just why? Like,
It's more gossip than helpfulness, a lot of them. There are some useful ones, and I am a member of one, and I rarely go there, but it was pretty useful. I can't remember the name of it, though.
yeah, I think you just have to find out what works for you, but just, if it's not working for you, don't feel obligated to go into, it's sunk cost. If you spent a month in a forum and you haven't gotten anything out of it, don't keep going back.
And the best way to find editors is really, find books in the genre that you're writing in that you like from indie authors, and find out who they're using, and email the author and ask. Or if you see, like inside the book, it might even list the editor. You can email the editor directly. That's a good way, because then you know their work. You know what they do. You want to find somebody within your genre, though. Chris Shoemate says, Sean and Johnny have mentioned that they have over 200 ideas in their log of stories that they want to write. Have you ever thought about releasing a few of the ideas for your audience to write under specified rules you create? It could even be something your audience would ghostwrite for the SNS brand, with your team reviewing it, or how it fits into the different imprints. I have zero interest in that.
No, it's ideas.
We're so not ready.
Yeah, well, and I personally, I don't feel that ideas are precious. I mean, it's just.
Well, I don't want to give away my ideas for one. I don't want people. Okay, let's say we had an idea.
Dave does think that they're precious.
I do. Let's say we come up with an idea for a very specific kind of a thing, like let's say a book about blind soldiers or something, and let's say that's our idea.
Johnny, you want to write a book about blind soldiers?
Okay, so let's say we put that idea out there, and then somebody else runs with it, and they come up with something else that was similar to what we were going to do already in our story. Then then it looks like we're copying, and I hate that. I really would avoid that at all costs, and I really don't want to read other people's writing, like deciding whether or not their stuff is good enough, because I hate being in that position, and I really don't want to read any more than I already have to.
Yeah,
we
have full bandwidth. Like, there's no way we could absorb that. We couldn't read other people's stuff or publish it. Like, that is a place where the company may go years and years from now. But right now, we have all of our infrastructure basically is taxed as it is just to get our own stuff to market.
Yeah, I see both sides of this. Because I mean, ideas, you can look like you're copying, but that said, Unicorn Western was started with, let's do a story about a gunslinger who rides a unicorn, and that was all that existed. Oh, and he shoots pink smoke. If I give that premise to somebody else, hey, we'll do a story about a gunslinger who rides a unicorn.
It would be nothing like Unicorn Western.
It'd be nothing like it, right? So it's not. The ideas for me are just starting points, but I definitely get the idea that if it has a unique twist, like for instance, Fat Vampire. There is another book actually called Fat Vampire, which I didn't know until I'd published. But like, if one had just come out and it was popular, and then I go to release mine, I'm like, shit, yeah. I mean, it's gonna look funny, but so I see both sides of that.
All right. Edward Antrobus says, when you first started outlining and writing beats, were you able to predict how long the finished product would be for each part? If not, how long did that take? My outlines are full of chapters that wind up being a page long and having to be condensed, or 10,000 words and needing to be split.
Yeah, I could take that. I'm actually pretty good at estimating. When I'm outlining for myself, I have a pretty good idea. But we also tend to start books with some idea about how long that finished product is going to be. So with Collective Inkwell stuff, a lot of our stuff was always serialized. So we knew how long an episode was going to be, and the length of those beats would actually vary wildly. Sometimes they would be pretty skeletal, and there'd be a lot fixed in. Sometimes they'd be pretty thorough, and we're just really adding color and depth. But we always knew how long the episode was going to be. For my own stuff, if I'm outlining and writing, I know, okay, this is going to be a 3,000 word chapter, and I'm going to have about 300 or 400 words worth of beats. For Realm and Sand stuff, we know about how long the book is going to be before it starts, but the beats may or may not have anything to do with that. Johnny may take a 300 word section and turn that into a 5,000 word chapter, and then totally ignore the next section of beats. So you have to think of beats as a starting point and not, they're not a blueprint.
Yeah,
you don't follow
very
them.
little attention to the beats in Devil May Care. Very little attention.
All right. Leanne Hunt says, I keep hearing about perma-free, but when I tried finding it on KDP, it doesn't exist, nor can I price my book for free more than 5 days. Please explain how you managed to make the first book in the series permanently free. Somebody else then suggested to her to do the whole Smashwords thing or Barnes & Noble thing. But the thing is, if you have to be careful of that. Okay, this is kind of basic stuff, but we never know when people are coming into finding us and stuff, and some of this stuff, we presume everybody knows, but they might not. So Amazon does not offer a way to get your book for free unless you're enrolled in KDP Select, and then you could do it for 5 days. But what we talk about when we're talking about perma-free is we upload it to either Smashwords or Barnes & Noble or another major retailer that will let us price it for free.
Barnes & Noble won't actually let you make it free. You Kobo or Smashwords.
Okay, yeah. We did Smashwords into Barnes, was how we did it.
Right.
Will Apple make you do it, allow you to do it free through them?
No, I don't believe so. I could be wrong about that, but most don't. Usually you do... See, I wonder if even Draft to Digital does now. I don't remember, but
okay, well,
somewhere. Smashwords.
Draft to Digital might also be an option where you can upload a book for free, and basically once it's free on these other places, you can then report it to Amazon or have other people report it as being free, and Amazon will match it free, maybe, but they don't always do it. Some people have had success getting it done. Other people have contacted KDP customer service directly and having it done that way.
The more popular your book is, the faster that will happen.
Yes, but if you're in KDP Select, you can't do it because your book has to be exclusive to Amazon. So be careful with that. Right. We have a question. Kurt Petrie asks, who's designing all of your new amazing covers? The artwork is stunning. The Invasion and Yesterday's Gone covers are great, but I think my favorite is the Beam Season 3 cover. Look at that cover. I can't wait for the audiobook to come out. Love what y'all do. Keep it up. Y'all are awesome. Okay, here's a situation where we have to be incredibly selfish and not tell who our designer is. In the past, when we've used various people for different things, we've helped them and said, hey, this is who we used, and other people go to use them, and suddenly they didn't have time for us anymore, or their rates went through the roof astronomically because all of a sudden they had a ton of people. The designer we use now already has a ton of people. We're already on a long waiting list. If we give out the name, then that waiting list will probably get even longer.
And but we do use a variety. It isn't just one designer. We can certainly tell you 99 designs free without an ad read.
Yes.
But yeah, what Dave says.
And for illustrated stuff, we've been using Donovan Shear, and I'm sure that he'd love us to talk about that.
How do you spell his last name?
Donovan? It's Scherer, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And he's on Facebook, and he posts a lot of drawings. Pretty much every day he does a drawing a day. He's really good.
Yeah, he just did the Santa Exposed cover just day before yesterday. It looks great. We're gonna try to get a BookBub ad for that before Christmas. It looks awesome. He's redoing all the terrible scaries, and they look great. Pretty much we try to find the right designer that's right for the project. So, for example, we were having the designer who did the Beam Season 3 cover did some work for Guy. She did the terrible scary covers, and they weren't right. So Donovan's doing them. And we paid for those twice. We actually bought a a Santa cover from another designer, and it wasn't right. So Donovan's doing that. So you have to know what is the right artist for the right project, and cover designers are not one size fits all. You really want to find somebody who understands your genre. Like the romance genres and the subgenres have very specific covers, styles, thrillers, sci-fi, space opera. Like if you're in a specific genre, you really want an artist or a designer who understands that genre, because that's going to help your book sell, not just who has the prettiest art. And we've learned this. Like, this is something that we did not do well for a long time. We just went for what we thought looked cool, and looking cool is not really the same.
And this is why we're being so selfish right now, because we have a lot of covers we need designed. Megan Garrison says, I just got my first Mac and a very pretty, very dinky keyboard. It's not for me. What keyboards do you like and use? And Tammy Lebrecht says, oh man, I really hope Johnny shows his sawed-off keyboard.
Like a gangster, yeah. Right?
That is the Microsoft
ergonomic keyboard. Sean calls it the Death Star.
Yeah, they have a few different models, and we all have a variation of them, and they're all good.
Here's mine. It's like the Death Star, but it's much more streamlined.
Death Star Light.
Yeah, and it's
the Injury Star.
Yeah, it's like the one in Return of the Jedi instead. But it's awesome. I do like it a lot. The only thing I don't love about it, and actually makes me want to punch it every once in a while, is that there's a lag with the Bluetooth, which never happened with the Mac keyboard. And the keys will stick, and it's really frustrating when I'm trying to type fast and I can't, because they're just not responding. I hate it.
Yeah, mine. I have the one with the wire for that exact reason. There's a lot of times Bluetooth sleeps a little bit.
Okay. Michaela West says, this is related to Story Shop. I'm super excited for the app to release. I've looked around to see if you guys have mentioned if you'll have beta testers at all. So I'll ask here, will Story Shop need testers? I'm a backer on Kickstarter, so will testers come from that group?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the limit of my knowledge, but I believe that is the intention, is that group will comprise the beta testers.
That is correct, yeah.
Matt Procini says, I'm set to publish the first season of a serial, all 7 episodes, in a few weeks. Will Amazon consider each episode and the box set distinct? If I were to use Kindle Select, could I do just for the box set? I asked Amazon this, but they never responded. My question would be, why would you use it just for the box set Kindle Select? Here's the deal with Kindle Select. If you're gonna put the box set in there, I'm thinking, well, I don't know. With the page views, it might be different now. It used to be that if you did the episodes, it was better to have the episodes in, because then you had like 6 or 7 borrows versus 1 borrow for a whole box set. I don't know if this changes that at all or not. But the thing is, if you're considering doing it, if your option, if you're like, okay, if I do the box set, but then I can put the episodes in other stores, you can't do that. If anything is, I think, 10% or more on another store, you're violating the terms, so you can't do it that way. But you could, I suppose you could put both of them in Select if you wanted, and if they tell you to take it down, then just take it down. I wouldn't worry too much about it, so long as you're exclusive to them and you're not like trying to screw them over in some way.
Right. The exclusivity is what they're going to care about most.
Right.
Okay. I got to refresh the page here.
Let me know if we need questions from the doc too. I have those.
Okay.
Not a huge live group, but a lot of questions. Amy sent that email out, so people asked ahead of time.
Want me to hit one from the list?
Are you refreshing?
I'm just scrolling down. Yes, I do have. Some live ones. John Hoffman, Blind Soldiers, an Army of Daredevils. Second question. How do you go about finding a good, legitimate editor to look at your work? I don't have the amazing resources and great, powerful Sterling and Stone. Well, we just answered that question, actually. Find books that are written in your space, and look for the editor, or email the author and ask. David Lawrence Hey guys, I have two questions. First question is, have you ever hit a writing slump, and if you did, how'd you get over it? Second question is, where do you think the three of you would be now if you didn't meet each other? That's a good question.
That's a great
Second
question.
part.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'll go first on the writing slump. No, because I really think of it as work. I mean, there are times when I don't want to work. There are times when I feel lazy. There are times when what I'm working on doesn't excite me. But I always just try to change my state. You know, it's not about what's on my desk. It's about getting excited about what's on my desk. And there are times when I know I'm working on the wrong project and I need to shake that up. But that's different than a writing slump.
Variety for me. I don't know that I've ever had a. Well, okay, so it depends on how you're defining writing slump. It's kind of like when people ask you what's your biggest failure, and you say, well, I'm not done with my life yet, so have I failed yet? But the writing slump is kind of like that because I've tried, and this is kind of a know thyself thing. The past 2 years, maybe 3, I've. It's not that I'm a workaholic and I want to work like through the holidays, but I just so maybe I think it was like 2 years ago I didn't work at all after Christmas. Like Christmas, like a few days before Christmas through a few days into the year, it was like 2 weeks of not working because I thought I wanted a break. But the problem was I got so rusty that I just I got bored, and the next year I said, okay, well, I'll write. And I think I tried 2 years where I was going to try and write, and that didn't work either because my family was home and I just wasn't in the right mood. So you could maybe call that a slump because it was hard to get through those words. But for me, it's just something I've adapted. So this year, I will be working, so I'll scratch that itch. But it's revision, it's polish on Devil May Care. But that's not a slump. That's just adapting. And for me, it's about variety. So I had writing Devil May Care, which is the last project we did. I really liked it, but it was hard. It was just kind of a different pace. And when I started doing something new just recently, it's so different. Like if you can leap from fiction to nonfiction, you can leap to different genre, or you can leap to different story length. Like you do a novel and then a short. The energy of that can be different enough to kind of kickstart you.
Yeah, that might be the biggest reason that we are genre hoppers. Speaking for myself, I need to be excited about my work, and doing one thing over and over and over and over again, even if it's something I love, it feels a little bit repetitive. So I like to shake it up a little bit. I like to do different things.
I have had slumps both creatively, where I just hate everything I do, and also, times I've been depressed where I didn't feel like writing, or if I was writing, it was affecting my work. And a lot of times what I'll do is try to get myself out of the mindset, whether I'm sucking or just depressed, go for a walk, or sometimes I'll even talk to Sean. Sean is just so full of fucking energy. It's like he's great for a pep talk. So if you got a Sean in your life, call him for a pep talk. Or Sean could rent out his services for pep talks.
I am not available for pep talks.
Are you a depressed writer? Call Sean. But just stepping out of your own life, stepping out of whatever your surroundings are. Like if you're at home all day, or if you're in an office all day, and you're trying to get something done, it's just not coming. You just get out of there, do something else, change your surroundings.
Change your state. Changing your state is a really powerful thing to do, and it's easy, and a lot of people just overlook it. They'll sit at their desk for 5 hours just angry, staring at the screen, just doing that. When seriously, if you go out and you go for a walk and you come back and you're just going to have a renewal, and it's going to be easier to get done what you're done. So if you feel it, it's about being more mindful. Be aware of how you're feeling, and then you'll know how to combat that.
Hey man, you can also do ayahuasca because it expands your mind, and it removes the restrictions of reality, and you have this whole new mindset, and then you can just be creative.
It does do
ayahuasca. The one true God. Where would we be if we had not met? Who wants to go first?
It's like that episode of Friends.
I feel like this is a whole episode, though. I would love to make this an episode.
We should say where we think each other would be.
Oh man, I don't know where to go with this.
I think I'd probably still be just kind of blogging, trying to do my own Johnny B. Truant thing. I wouldn't be as satisfied. I never liked that nearly as much as what I do now. That would be sad. Don't make me think about that.
I don't know. I think that for sure I would still be publishing. Like that's why I started. That's why I bought my first domain. That's why I got started in all of this. And the copywriting was, it was part of the journey for sure, but it was never the destination. So I can't imagine that I'd be doing something much different. But it wouldn't be like I'm very lucky I met Dave when I did. I'm very lucky I met Johnny when I did. And I feel like the three of us are really fortunate. Like we did manage to build a super team. Like our abilities complement each other really well.
Just think, if you never stole my domain name, we never would have written together, and then Johnny probably would be Johnny 1.0.
It's true.
So Johnny owes his career to you stealing the domain name.
Well,
it all goes back to the domain name. It's like the butterfly effect.
But there's many of those little things. My wife and I missed our entire family by a span of 30 seconds. So amazing how that happens.
Yeah, I would probably I'd probably be working on my first book still. Now I would definitely be a writer because it's what I've always wanted to do. But what I was trying to do when I actually met Sean was to get a humorous blogging sort of like Dave Barry-esque sort of thing off the ground, and just writing about like my life, my family, and stuff like that. And I was going to sell it to newspapers, and that was the goal when I was when the newspaper I worked at folded, and that was what I was going to do. And then Sean and I got together. Well, shit, Sean's really good, and we gelled creatively. So fuck that. Let's write fiction. I mean, why build up to the dream when I can just go right for the dream right now? So
yeah, I remember reading.
Right, living the dream.
I remember reading the book, The Adventures of Kavalier and Clay. Which I really love. I love that book a lot. I like Michael Chabon, the author, a lot. And it's about in the 40s, the comic book boom, and then a lot of these writers became pulp writers, and they were just cranking out 25,000 word a week on these books, and just boom, boom, boom. And I remember pacing the floor of my ghetto mansion at the time and talking to Dave and just saying, dude, like that's our business. Like we could be those pulp writers. Like this is what we should do. And so I had those ideas back then. It just took 5 years to make them happen. So I think that for sure I would be doing that, but I'm not so sure that we would be leaders in the space. And I think that the three of us, coming together have allowed us to be leaders that we might not be otherwise.
Imagine if we were all writing, though. We did all go into fiction without each other, just solo. We all would have somehow known of each other if we were all hitting the lists at the same time. It would have been interesting to see how...
But I was not. I had essentially given up. I wrote that first book and tried to write a second for a long time and I couldn't do it. I couldn't get a second book out. I don't know. I think I had given up.
Wow.
Oh, that's sad.
I know it is. That's why I said don't make me think about it. I near minute.
Johnny would be an alcoholic on the verge of suicide.
I know, and I like writing so much now that makes me sad to think about.
Okay. Kathy Pelham says, do you have any Engine World plans for 2016?
Oh, that's a good question. We've been talking about that recently. Well, we have the Ruby Room that needs to get... it needs a final polish and a release. So for sure that will be in 2016 at some point. And we still have 4 more books to write in the series. But because we have a book coming out in 2016, that will probably be the Dream Engine book for 2016, and then we'll finish up 2017 and beyond.
Okay. Lori Thomas says, if you get to this, describe a writer's mistake or a publishing mistake you've done in the past but can laugh at now, and tips to avoid doing that mistake.
Oh my God, just one?
Well, I don't think you should worry about avoiding mistakes. I mean, really. I mean, that is the way you learn.
You've just got to find your own brand of mistakes.
Your own brand is stupid.
Right, because we could tell you which mistakes to avoid, but you're going to find your own mistakes, and it's those mistakes that make you smaller. right? Or smarter.
Smaller. Well, I better make some more mistakes then.
It's those mistakes that make you smarter. And, I don't think that you should go out and try intentionally to make mistakes, but you shouldn't be afraid of making them. And I think that that's one thing that stops a lot of writers from shipping. They're afraid of looking stupid. They're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of doing something wrong. And those aren't really legitimate fears. Like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do stuff wrong. You're going to look stupid. It's okay. We've looked stupid a lot. We've done things wrong a lot. But we always pivot, and we use those things to get better faster.
Billy Hoffman says, can I get a I Hate You All page, a shout out? We need more haters, Dave Lovers. Yeah, look up I Hate You All on Facebook. That is a web page Billy started. It's weird to have a page devoted to me. So I don't know what to say. Like,
to be fair, it's devoted to your hate.
That is true. Okay, so but it's sort of a Dave fan page, I guess, which is bizarre. I never
a Dave's
thought there
hate
would
fan
be.
page. Like, you got to be clear about that. It's about your hate.
Yeah, it's not pin up pictures of me or anything.
I
although it
got a
should be.
very good visual.
I think
I stopped everybody with that one.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we have at the moment. I'll keep refreshing, though. By the way, side note here, Self-Publishing Roundtable podcast put on by some friends of ours. Our editor, Jason White, is going to be on there tonight, and I think that starts at 10. 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So check that out. It's selfpublishingroundtable.com if you want to get some insight from Jason. We should have him on SPP. I don't know why we haven't thouut of that before, or if I've asked him.
I don't know why we haven't either. Are we afraid of not being able to get into his editing queue anymore?
He's coming in early January. Or
he's coming on?
Early next year. We have
all right, okay. Okay, cool. Awesome.
But you should, is that, because that's not on the calendar, so if it's supposed to be, let me know.
I've asked him for a date a few times.
So he can't make time for us. Do you make time for self-publishing? You know what?
No, he's going to go out dating you.
Fuck Self-Publishing Roundtable. Don't go there. Don't watch it. And when you do go there, say, hey, fuck you, Jason.
It's because Sean keeps asking him out on a date.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me hit questions here.
Hit something.
We've got some. I noticed that many authors, when they upload to KDP, put a publisher's name for their book, even though they don't really have an official publishing company. Is this acceptable, legal? Is it necessary to register a business name before doing that? Yeah, it's not illegal at all. It's just that's what you're calling your publishing company. It's illegal to make something up with fake bank information.
Random House.
I think
don't put Random House for your publisher if you're not actually.
Well, I think if you're doing business under something, DBA, I think you need something. We had one for collective.
Well, you can
but you can
file a DBA, but I think you can also just call your. We're not lawyers.
Yeah, we're not.
But you don't have to file it. Okay, again, this is not legal advice, but I don't think you have to file a DBA to put,
But you probably should.
To put Joe's Publishing Shack in your dash.
Yeah, I don't.
I would.
Again, with the caveat that I'm not a lawyer, I don't believe so.
I don't believe so at all. Yeah, because
I think the reason people do that is because they want to look more professional.
Or just use your name.
Make sure, but make sure that somebody looking at your Okay, so here's what you don't do. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about your publisher metadata and stuff, and then have a really shitty cover and a description filled with typos. Nobody's going to notice your publisher name and think how pro you are if the rest looks like shit. So it's really very much a 5% sort of thing.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Okay, hold on. I got more here. I was wondering, what's your opinion about virtual book tours for fiction? Do you think a VBT is worth the time and money?
Like a blog tour?
Yeah, it depends on your genre. We've seen that these are not just effective, but almost necessary in romance. They do them, we were talking to Julie Huss, and she never launches a book without one. You got to use this person. You got to write. She knows exactly what to do there. But I don't think that they're going to work for literary fiction. I think they work for romance because those readers are so rabid and they're always looking for.
There's a lot of them.
And there's so many of them.
Yeah, and they're really into it. It's just and it's where they're hanging out and stuff like.
And there is
it has to do with where your readers are.
There's a camaraderie that I really admire among romance readers, because like one of my friends, she's huge into romance books, and she gets together with like all these women that she's met on the internet. I assume they're women unless they're guys. That'd be a really creepy way to pose as a woman in a romance fan group. But she has these friendships that she's developed over time. It's a very social sort of event. You don't see that with you don't see a lot of horror fans getting together and like shooting the shit about stuff the way romance readers do. They really have an awesome community.
They're great readers. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it just depends on your genre. I think if you're writing romance, then yes, a book tour is a great idea. If you're writing horror or most other genres, probably not.
Kate Morgan says, here's a question. Do we know why, by all that is evil and unholy in Dave's Basement, why the YouTube comments aren't working? Because this isn't the only podcast I've had problems with. Because what the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. YouTube didn't tell us why. It's just something that happened.
Well, there's a way to do it, and I rolled my eyes and said I don't want to.
Too much
Garrett
work.
was trying to explain, well, he's like, well, I'll get on with you. I'll show you how to do it. And I said, is this something Amy can do? And he said, well, no, because of this reason, which, and I'm trying to get out of the business of everything depends on me being here and pushing all the buttons and stuff. And so we're gonna have to find some other solution because, like, I need more shit to do. But yeah, I don't know why they just changed the whole system.
They could change it back. Who knows? Yeah, YouTube is rather infamous for that sort of thing.
So we're upping our fan page engagement by doing it this way.
Okay. If you were to wake up tomorrow, this is a little like the
hypotheticals.
Yeah, it's kind of a hypothetical. If you were to wake up tomorrow and Sterling and Stone didn't exist, what would you do to start it right now?
This is you know what it is because it's Christmas time.
Sean.
This is all those like It's a Wonderful Life sort of,
It's a Horrible Life starring Dave.
If Sterling and Stone didn't exist, do we have any memory of Sterling and Stone? What's the
I think we were just starting from scratch right now.
I think we're just starting from scratch right now. I would actually, I would actually do things a little bit differently as far as. I would find one genre and just really focus on that and build it one layer at a time. But I would own a genre, create like we always preach, get your first 3 books, done. I'd maybe get the first 6 or 7 books done, all in one genre, with great cliffhangers. I wouldn't do serial fiction because it's not 2011, but like a series of books, and then I would just crush it, and then I would try to build from that layer up.
That's also what I would do.
And then I would immediately switch over. And it makes me feel dirty to say this, but as of right now, which is currently, I gotta mark this because shit changes so fast. It's December 3rd as we record this of 2015. If I were brand new and I were doing that with a series, I would probably put them in select.
Oh, I would absolutely put them in select. I hate it too, but I would absolutely put them in select.
But if you're brand new, I think that's it's just, you'd have to.
Yeah, and if I was brand new, like I wouldn't do anything literary. Like I would go for the biggest number of readers possible. That doesn't mean I'd be, whoring myself out because hell, like I like writing stories to any market and I just want to connect with readers. So that wouldn't bother me. I could feel passionate about, whatever idea I had. And I'd want critical mass. So I would pick not just a popular genre, but I pick a popular genre that does well in select.
Okay, we got a question I didn't see before. Jim Wilborn says, if you guys could recommend one fiction and one nonfiction book to read in 2016, what would they be? I'd love to know each of your personal suggestions. Okay, I'll go first. The Brain by, I think, was it David Eagleman? I can't remember its name. I think that's it. The Brain, look that up. It's also a PBS series. I love that book. And for fiction, it'll be The Girl with All the Gifts because I think that's the only thing I read this year. But it was also absolutely great.
Yeah, let me think. For nonfiction, I just really love Creativity Inc. I don't think it's the best book ever, but it's about people who make stuff and they make the decisions like we're going to make shorts even though they cost $25 million each and they do nothing for our bottom line. I love that kind of thinking. I love putting art before revenue. But having said that, they also care about revenue. They're a hugely successful company. So I think they do most things right. I loved Creativity Inc. Let me think on fiction for a second while Johnny talks.
What was our? I was zoned out. So it was
What
favorite
fiction and
book of
nonfiction?
each.
One book would you suggest for him to read next year?
Oh,
Unicorn Western.
well, I don't have a nonfiction recommendation right now. I don't think because I just haven't been reading a lot of nonfiction. Unless you count, I did recently read Choose Yourself, and I liked that a lot.
By Alt Tucker.
Yeah. Fiction. I don't know. I'm sort of stuck with Sean. I have been reading a lot more recently. I'm actually reading Julie Huss's latest book right now, and I think it's awesome.
What, 18?
I just finished her
No,
last one.
I finished. I read 18 though. I'm reading Anarchy Found, which is
I just read 18 too. It's funny. I found that at this point I read lady porn. Like, what the hell? 18 is totally lady porn. So anyway, yeah, I think fiction. I would read something like if you're only going to read one big book, like it should be something long, sprawling, great characters. A book that I've read, I think 3 times.
Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove.
Yeah, Lonesome Dove. I haven't read it in 20 years, so it'd be funny to see if like I still like it. But I read it 3 times. Even though the last time was 20 years ago. But I really loved that book. I thought the characters were just fantastic in it, and there's a part in the book that makes me cry every time. But it's a journey, and I love the journey, and I love the characters, and it's nice and long.
I'll give one more nonfiction book. Ray Bradbury, Zen and the Art of Writing. It's only in print. It's not on Kindle. I recently bought it again, though, because my old copy was absolutely destroyed. And I'm rereading it, and it's really good. Really
all right, I do have some. Since you jarred something with me on writing, none of us mentioned that. Is fantastic nonfiction. Stephen King on writing.
Yeah. I assumed everybody already read that.
Yeah, I sort of figured that too. And then let's toss in The War of Art too, since we're assuming that people have read everything.
By Stephen Pressfield.
By Stephen Pressfield, and
I
don't know that I would
say the nonfiction book that we're going to write next year. That's not Iterate and Optimize. That is going to be awesome, and it's going to be short.
But the other one.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
And then my favorite book, I think of the past decade or so, has been The Shining. So, all right, if you haven't read The Shining, read The Shining.
Did you read The Talisman?
I did, but it was so long ago that I don't remember it.
Did you read the sequel, Black House, or no?
Yeah, I did read Black House.
I haven't read that.
I don't remember very much of them, either of them. I did reread Salem's Lot recently, and that stood up very well. So maybe I should read The Talisman again.
I'm reading Bizarre Bad Dreams right now. I'm at the very, very end. I think the last story, actually. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I think it's really great. It's a little different than his normal short story collection because each story has like a mini story where King talks about why he wrote the story, kind of what his inspiration was, and I love that. So it's got a little bit of on writing in it.
Yeah.
And I actually only picked it up because Dave told me. I didn't know that, and Dave told me that he had the little vignettes before each story, and I'm like, well, that's cool. I want to read that. They're basically each story has an author's note, which we do for Dark Crossing.
Yeah,
actually.
and I was totally inspired by King.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed it. There's a couple of stories I don't care for too much, but there's a couple that have just been fantastic.
I didn't like the one with the white trash couple at the gas station. I thought that was like the worst story maybe he's ever written.
Really?
Yeah, it was just pointless to me. I was just like, why am I reading this? Why did he write this?
The one with the car crash one?
With the dog in the back.
Because that's your hallmark, is adding a dog to a story. You're jealous.
Yeah, and my reputation precedes me, but it's greatly exaggerated. 1, we do not have that many children in jeopardy, and 2, we do not have that many animals in our books.
That David Wright guy added a dog to his story. I'm going to do that.
We have one question. Sarah Smith, when y'all had Garrett on the podcast, you mentioned that Sean had a list of feedback of things he did in writing that needed to be tweaked. What were those? Do you have a list like that which might be helpful to the rest of us? Amy answered before we went on air and said suggested a book, Self-Editing for Fiction Writers, which she said was a good book on that. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. Well, these were very specific. I kind of feel like one day I might write a book like that where, I just, as I'm going through stuff, I take the time to make notes about why I do certain things. But these were all just very specific. There are I do plenty of things that are stupid that other people would need to edit. Every person does. The book Amy recommended, I'm sure, is great. The thing is, every writer has their own tics. They have stuff that they do for better or worse, and you don't want to overdo anything. So that's one of the things that makes collaboration a great thing, is that you kind of, two people really balance each other out if they're compatible. Yeah.
When Sean has like a flowery like paragraph that's just too many flowery words, I prune the shit out of that.
When is the last time?
No, it hasn't been in a while.
For years.
It hasn't been in years. I don't remember. I'm only thinking about it because I was going back and reading the old Available Darkness, and I saw some of that.
Yeah.
I need to cut that.
I'm on that right now, actually.
Yeah. I don't see any other questions. I think we got them all. Somehow we managed.
Huzzah! And perfect
one more
timing
from the list.
What's that?
I was going to say, do you want to do one more from the list? But I'm also happy to just be done.
Yeah, we can knock one more out. Okay, here's one. How do I jumpstart my readership? Where do I go to connect with YA readers? I know they don't use email, and I've tried appearing at schools. Where do authors actually go to connect with readers when they're just starting out?
Yeah, showing up in schools right now.
Yeah. Show up in schools with a trench coat, because you can fit a lot of books in your trench coat.
I think
ask the kids if they want something from your trench coat, to give them samples.
I think that YA is a place where it might make sense to be in select and hit algorithms and try to get noticed that way. When you are just starting out, it is harder. You kind of need that first batch of readers, your first 100 that you can then turn into your first 1,000, and just tickling the algorithms might be the best way to do that.
Or find that drugs that cool kids are doing these days. The cool kids are also readers and like give out drugs and get a free ebook with the drugs.
So like ayahuasca.
Or what Dave said.
No, not really.
Can you imagine all these rich kids doing ayahuasca? You can't tell me how to hire a shaman, man.
All right.
Is that it?
That's it. We got more of this tomorrow, so.
Okay, enough of this crap. So stay tuned if you're a live viewer. Not stay tuned, but our self-publishing podcast is tomorrow as we record live. I haven't done one in a few weeks, so we're rusty. I've also accumulated like 5 something cools. I keep thinking about must say something cool. I'm too full.
We should just do a something cool episode. That's just all full of something cool.
Dave has an epic story that we've been hearing about for 2 weeks, and Ray Chase will be on Worst Show Ever. So that should be. Oh
man, we got good stuff tomorrow.
Considered. I don't know if we're going to do this. The dramatic reading. Is that going to happen, Dave?
I didn't do it yet. I can't. I hid the tracks so my son wouldn't find them, and I don't know where I put them.
We were going to see if Ray would be willing to do dramatic readings of the religious tracks handed out on Halloween to trick-or-treaters that I received.
You'll probably find one online to do, though.
I'm sure you can.
Okay.
All right. So thanks for listening and joining us live and all that stuff, submitting your questions for the Ask Us Anything. And this is the last one of 2015, which means nothing to you as you're listening in March of 2016. But it is. So for those of you who are live, we'll talk to you again in January on the Ask Us Anything, and just see us on the other podcasts until then.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.